All right. Let's get into it. Alien Mothership. It's coming. 2025. What are people talking about out here, huh? I don't know, y'all. It's from the Jimmy Dore Show, YouTube.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
So that's Jeremy Corbell. He linked up with George Knapp some years back, and he's been the conduit. He pretty much has been the conduit for all of the official UFO information, all right, coming from the Pentagon and all this stuff. You know, Tic Tac video, I think that was Corbell. They green lighted him to release that. And other, you know, and other information, other clips, and so on. So that was Corbell talking about from his sources, and he does have high-level sources in the military, allegedly, apparently, that the fake alien invasion is coming. All right, so that was Corbell explaining that. You can look that interview. I can't remember. It's in one of those documentaries. Jeremy Corbell.
This is Jeremy Corbell. He said this in January 2025. Let's listen to what he said.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told.
What? And slowly. So how I know it's a lie? Because it's slowly making its way. What kind of bullshit is that? Yeah, them alien motherfuckers is coming. When they gonna get here? It's gonna take them a while. I don't need no classified document. All right. To understand some bullshit when I hear it. Okay, I'm just gonna say that.
You're going to be told that there's a craft on its way to Earth.
So I saw on Twitter over the weekend, I was on vacation, so I didn't really, but I saw some people talking about they have this new video of a crafts going towards flying around. Have you heard about this, Kurt?
No.
Yes, that there's some new video, right? Yeah, okay, let's just.
All right, so there has been, again, you have a Oumuamua, you know, these objects that astronomers have recently found, these large, you know, they don't know what they are. They don't seem to be just asteroids or comets because they seem to have deliberate movement capabilities. Okay. Oumuamua is one of those. So yeah, the chatter, you know, it's out there, and we're going to get to the latest. I didn't have time to look for it for today's show, but there is some newer so-called evidence of some, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of evidence, circumstantial evidence of shit flying around out there that people don't know what it is, but we'll get to that.
What he says.
That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to.
Hey, now I do agree with them there. Okay. this whole UFO secrecy thing, it's been a shit show since these people started it, right? The so-called authority. They decided they wanted to keep things under wraps, so they couldn't totally keep it secret, so they started the misinformation. They started the ridicule of anybody professionally that wanted to research this subject, seriously. You would lose your funding, lose your job. People would make fun of you. They call you names, tinfoil hats, conspiracy theorist. All this shit came out, all right, and was pointed, okay, at people that had questions, okay, about this and other subjects that we were told, again, there's nothing out there. It's just us, right? Slaves built the pyramids, all that nonsense, So yeah. So I do agree with him there. And Jeremy Corbell, very interesting guy. Some people give him a lot of shit as far as like, he's just a some kind of tool, disinformation guy. And like he said, there are people out here that have questions, that are trying to do good work, right? And they are, they get caught up, and I think Corbell is one of them. I don't think anybody's immune to that. You can unknowingly, be used to, steer, like disseminate some misinformation. I mean, that's how they play the game. So yeah, we're not, I'm not one of those guys that's super hard on Corbell. There are other people that I will voice my opinion on. Yeah, that guy, he knows he's lying, shit like that. But Corbell, I don't think is one of those guys. I really think he's got good intentions, but I have reason to believe that he is being manipulated a little bit sometimes. Again, what are you going to do? You're getting this information, from top level sources, Pentagon and stuff. Yeah, what are you going to say? You got to go with it. You got to do the best you can. So we support Corbell, what he's trying to do. Unless, something happens to change my mind, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do, people?
UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. Why they want you to know that truth now?
Which is what I brought up to Joe Rogan. Not the last time I was on, but the time before. It was when he had on a Navy pilot, who was now on his show saying that he saw these UFOs and how they moved, and they did move like any craft ever. And I said, Joe, they've been seeing UFOs since they started flying.
Yeah, very, very good point Jimmy Dore made right there. Again, so the whole controlled narrative part of this, basically the Pentagon, when they decided, okay, we're going to start sharing information with people. And what was the first thing they did? They started in what? I think 2014 was that Tic Tac video. So we're not going to address anything previous. We're going to start there. And that's what they did, UAP. And then what did they do? They changed it to UAP as far as what they're going to call it, right? Now that officially it's being investigated. Unidentified aerial phenomena, ARROW, all these different, how many investigative departments did they set up so far? The point, and I agree with Jimmy Dore, is none of this is new, okay? These pilots, commercial, military, regular witnesses, people, military personnel at sea, regular civilian personnel, again, all have been seeing these unknown craft, all right, for decades and decades, right? So the whole idea that it's new. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, but the way they're, again, because they're not talking about what are you going to do if you're the if you're the government. Can you really just say, okay? I mean, the only thing you could do is say, yeah, we know. We've been bullshitting you guys this whole time since 47. We've been calling people liars and making excuses, and yeah, we did all that, but now, you can trust us. We're going to tell you the truth. I mean, in my opinion, that's the only thing they could do. I mean, if they were serious about being truthful about this shit, that's the only thing you could do. You got to admit all the fuckery you're responsible for damn near 80 years or whatever it's been, right? What's up, Mario? Mario says, I had questions about this when I saw those four metallic objects flying towards me. Where were you when you had your sighting? Said they were quiet. Flying. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, we talk to people all the time. That's what I mean. People have, and not just, it's people everywhere, all over the planet, right? Have been reporting these sightings, documenting them, for the better part of 60, 70, 80 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah, and the thing is, the main thing is with this stuff for me is to let people, like you, Mario, and other people that do share, their experience with us, like, look, because a lot of people were deterred from doing this, right, over the years because of the ridicule involved, and who started that shit? Yeah, the fucking government shills, the debunkers, and all this other, it became it was not worth the trouble to even talk about this subject, right? For a lot of, so that's how they try to manage it. But it's 2025. Information is flowing. And they really can't. They can't control it like that. If you're like me, you don't give a fuck about what people call you or some kind of name. That's not. Look, we don't know everything. So there are still people out there that say, "Oh, come on. What do you mean UFOs? Oh, come on. What do you mean? What do you mean Bigfoot?" Yo, all I know is I talk to people all the time that have seen it. People have sent me pictures they've taken. We've heard recorded sounds of something out there. So, again, if it's too much for you to deal with, just say so. But when people say, that's not real, you're fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else because you don't know. Just like I don't know. I don't know if it's real, but people are experiencing something. So what are these people just full of shit? They're lying? Well, that's what they wanted us to believe all these years. That's how they, again, discourage people from talking about stuff like this. But, we ain't doing that shit no more. People are seeing shit, and they're sharing their experience. And yeah, we're here, we're here to report and observe and to listen to people and not dismiss, what people experience. Too many people have been experiencing strange things, and they're strange only because what have we been told our whole life? It's this in this box. You guys are in this box. Don't go out. There's nothing else outside of this box. You just stay where we tell you, and you'll be fine. Okay? If you're like me, you've been around for a minute, you learn that, hey, a lot of this shit that we were taught ain't right and exact, Yeah, again, people have their different opinions on what these aliens might be. Are they spiritual? Are they physical? Trans-dimensional? Again, who knows? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing we do know for sure is people are experiencing something out of the ordinary, right? the ordinary that we've been told, all these years. So yeah, we just encourage people that, to not be afraid to share their experience, because there's nothing, you shouldn't feel any kind of way about having an experience like that. It's very traumatic. I couldn't imagine if I saw a Bigfoot in person. That's got to be, a terrifying experience. And I've talked to people that have, and so yeah, we don't give anybody shit. People see what they see and experience what they experience. We believe people when they tell us stuff. Most people. Yeah, we have went through a lot of programming. That is true. Fresh, welcome in over there on Kick. Appreciate you.
Why now is the Navy allowing these guys to validate that there are UFOs? Why do you think that is? And he was like, "But it is real." I go, "I'm guaranteed. I'm sure it's real." Why they're doing it now? Because they wanted to fund a space force. That's why they had to find new ways to spend money, just like the Golden Dome that Trump.
Oh, the Golden Dome. What happened with that?
Trump is going to build. It's not going to save us from missiles. It's going to be a surveillance state. So it's all this, and so that's why they're
Jimmy. Yeah, that guy.
So that's the question. Why officially now is the government so interested in telling people about UFOs, right? We're going to call them UFOs. Fuck all the dumb shit, UAP. They're UFOs, okay? And I do agree with Mr. Jimmy Dore on that. To some extent, Trump announced the Space Force on his last term, right? Remember when he came out and announced that? Oh yeah, we're gonna do the Space Force, like it was brand new. Okay, we called bullshit on that. I mean, if you're rocking with us, the military has been in space for a very long time. Okay, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a scholar. These motherfuckers have been fucking around up there for a long time before they announced it. A few years ago, right? So I do agree with Mr. Jimmy Dore there. They're gonna roll it out and try to manage it like they do with everything. Okay, yeah, there's something flying around, and we got to make sure we can stop them, from being hostile. And I get it. I'm not saying motherfuckers are out there. If they're anything like us, then yeah, we should be worried. I'm not too worried, and here's why. Because they've been buzzing around and for a very long time. And to our knowledge, they haven't really done any harm, right? So I'm not too worried about the aliens. I say this all the time. I'm not worried about the aliens, man. We got enough we got enough weirdos around here to deal with. Never mind the aliens. The aliens ain't did shit to me. I can't show you. Has an alien ever showed up and stole some shit from you? Or So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Aliens are my last worry. Not saying we shouldn't be, cautious. I'm just saying they ain't done shit this whole time. So what's going on? So yeah, very interesting. Yeah, Fresh, I will say this, all right? So about the ramp up in the rhetoric coming from, the military, the Pentagon with UFOs and stuff. I will say this. There are some people that have the opinion and that theorize that they know something's coming that they cannot, as far as extraterrestrial, whatever. Everybody's gonna some shit's gonna be revealed that they cannot control, and that's one theory of why they're rolling it out mainstream now, trying to get people acclimated, right? That makes sense to me. Is that 100%? I don't know, but that makes sense. They are aware. When I say they, the authority, they are aware of something that's probably going to happen okay, as far as people knowing, okay. They're going to start seeing more shit. Something's going to happen that they can't stop people from knowing about. And so in order to try and get ahead of that, the theory is that, yeah, we're going to roll it out, try to control the narrative, and all that nonsense. We know how that game is played. So yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Appreciate you. Fresh Fitman. Yeah, just followed. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. Something's coming. What's that? Something's coming, and they know. Yeah. I agree. I agree with that because that makes sense. Okay. Again, I don't know, but we try to go with what makes sense, right? And yeah, that makes perfect sense because we do know. Okay. From these people's actions in the past, the authority, we know how they do things. We know how they operate to some extent. And so, yeah, that makes perfect sense that they would try to, control the narrative as much as they could before, whatever happens. Like I said, so that makes sense. Something's going to happen where people are going to have to deal with this other aspect, okay, of us, and our relationship to the universe. Like, yeah, there's other people out there. Like, I don't know why, again, some people, it's going to be hard for some people. But, the government ain't going to save you. I can tell you that 100%. 100% facts. The government ain't gonna save nan motherfucker out here.
Hey, he's not wrong what he's saying, but hey, Slowpoke, I'm glad that you finally figured out, because I mentioned on Rogan's show with his documentary or the other guy's UFO documentary where all the government people are like, disclosure. It's John Brennan and James Clapper. Oh, I'm sure them two want to come clean about the spacemen. I'm sure they're going to give you an accurate idea. So I guess he just figured out that no, they will not. And he put a great set together to tell you the thing you already knew. Why do you need them to disclose anything? You can find out whatever you want. All you got to do is not believe them ever and assume they're lying and the most evil people in the world. And the story comes right together. It's actually incredible.
Well, that's what
Hey, he's 100% on point. I don't know who his co-host. I don't know what his name is. 100% agree with him. We've been saying this. Okay, there are people out there in the space that have been doing the research. Okay, doing the work as far as documenting and and sharing this information about the history of UFO encounters, just with the military. Richard Dolan is a guy that's been doing that since the early 90s. Has a ton of good books out on it. He's in bunch of different documentaries. Follow him on YouTube, Richard Dolan. All right, we're going to be looking at some of his stuff soon too. So people like that have been doing the research so that we could have a better understanding of what's going on. Again, the military encounters, this is all stuff that the military has documented. That guys like Richard Dolan, do the information, freedom of the FOIA requests, and they go through all this information, and then they share it with the public. All right. So yeah, 100% agree with that guy. We never needed the Pentagon to tell us that UFOs exist. If you're rocking with us, we already knew that shit, right?
I remember when I was at the Young Turks on a panel, and Cenk Uygur asked me, he's like, well, how can you tell what's real and what's not from the government? I go, well, my jumping off point is they're lying. That's what,
Cenk.
And they all laughed. And I'm like, no, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, okay, I know the government's lying. I just have to find out where. What's the lie?
100% agree. 100% agree. Assume if it's coming from, politicians or, assume they're fucking lying and do your own due diligence. Yeah, I think most of us could agree with that. What's that, Fresh? Think whatever it may be won't be coming here, perhaps just passing by. Yeah, who knows? Like I said, it's anybody's guess, man. It's anybody's guess. But something because of the way people are behaving. When I say people, I mean authority, and all this, we're seeing a lot of wild stuff coming from these politicians. Again, how they just went from there's nothing to see here, UFOs, no. You're hallucinating. They went from that posture to now they want us to believe they're serious about investigating this subject. And I agree with Jimmy Dore. Yeah, no, I think you guys are full of shit. And, you're doing this for your own reasons, those of which I'm not clear on. It really don't matter because I know you're full of shit. So we just got to keep on doing what we have been doing, is doing our own due diligence, trying to, get information and, come to our own conclusions about things. That's all we can do, right? Is look at people who are doing the work, presenting, the evidence, and then it's up to us to make our own conclusions at the end of the day, right? So, yeah, when somebody raises their hand and says, Senator so-and-so, I know what's going on. Yeah, bant, wrong. We already know you're full of shit.
Wait, Joe knows all that. He's a very good interviewer. So it takes the position of person that doesn't know anything so that you can tell them the stuff.
That's right.
And so if you have good information, people respond. If you're like that phony Mike Baker CIA minder that shows up, because the Epstein thing's a goddamn embarrassment, the guy from the CIA always shows up and says nothing about anything, but he's there for some reason. Even a person that's like dumb, even the channels that criticize podcasts for a living notice it. They have running jokes that his cigar has he's changing the batteries in the surveillance at Joe's studio. And they all go, oh, Joe doesn't seem to know. Yeah, he doesn't. Joe is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not stupid. He knows that you can watch and see who's wrong. Without him, their own weight. The principles of jiu-jitsu. Douglas Murray failed under his own weight.
That's right. Let me see the end of this, what this guy says.
Hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying. Think about it. Maybe it's good to get ahead of it. Call it out now before they do it. I'll be called crazy. That's okay.
Who is
the music? Dramatic music.
Jeremy Corbell? Do you know that guy, Kurt?
Yeah, he was talking about the Tic Tac thing, and he was on with Bob Lazar. See how it's all like shot and dramatized, and like it's taking away from, because he's very slow to this shit. She's full of shit. These are all just like Democracy Now! Amy Goodman is compromised. Yes. Obviously, all these people that have done good work are compromised. The ones that are not compromised, that's who I like to see. So go watch Dark Journalist. The guy does killer work.
So here it is. This is what I was talking about. Possible hostile alien threat detected in unknown interstellar object. A shocking new study claims. That's from July 20.
Coming from the New York Post, so it's got to be reliable, right?
25th. That's what I saw.
Yeah. Thank you, Israeli scientists, for hey, Stephen Greer.
Was that Avi Loeb? I think and he's been talking about this type of stuff for a while. I think that's who that story was about. Again, you gotta do your diligence, people. This subject, this UFO subject, okay? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of information, all right? And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know shit. All right, I'm just trying to get out here and learn what I can so I can have a better understanding of what might, what I think might be going on out here. So I'm not, like I said, there are a few people where I'm like, not even going to, they're full of shit. But there are a lot of people, again, that have good information and, again, might be manipulated, okay? in certain ways that they're not aware of as far as, you know, the games that are being played out here with this shit. We didn't make this shit up. Like, why are these people doing this? You know? So the fact that they are going through these lengths to try and mislead people with, you know, again, the information, and the bullshit, but they're going to have some truth in there, and then they're going to wrap some more bullshit around it, and then they put some truth. You know, that's the way it's been. That's the way this subject has been, as far as people trying to research it and get to the, you know, kind of close to the truth or some better understanding of it. So there's obviously something going on, since there are a group of people that are going to great lengths to discourage and to, misinform people about the subject, right? What do you guys think?
Is probably in all likelihood a Mossad guy, because you notice the aliens are so peaceful and they don't like Belushi and they don't like nukes and they don't like us how violent the Humies are. Do they have any feelings on the Gaza genocide, the aliens? You never hear that, do you? The aliens weigh in on Gaza, where they're like, whoa, I don't want to weigh in that.
And there it is. A mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists.
They actually gave a fucking, they actually said in November. Wait a minute. What is he looking at? Is he looking at X? I'm assuming. What is he looking at? Again, what is this shit? July 25th. Mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be hostile. Alien spacecraft. That's slated. Now, see, here's where you can call. If you're like me, you could shit like this. The language people use, very important. I'm learning. Okay, so when they use certain words and the way you can tell they're full of shit right off the bat. At least in my opinion. Possibly be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists. New York. I'm assuming NYP is New York Post. So, how do you know it's November? You see, that's what I mean. Like, again, with the bullshit. These people, like, I don't know if they do it on purpose. So they want us to know they're full of shit, or yeah. It's pretty wild out here. All this nonsense going on.
So
they're doing that. So what that guy said. Is they're doing, right? They're doing it.
And to reiterate his point, Corbell said that in a documentary like last year or something. But again, these rumors of the fake alien invasion, you know, the PSYOP and all this shit, that's been out there for a long time. But Corbell did state that specifically, you know, I think that was a year or two ago, that interview that he watched first.
What he's referring to, I don't know the specific thing about a big ship, but you've probably heard of Project Bluebeam, which is the old plan to fake an alien invasion. Okay, but that's not technically correct what that plan was. That plan was to create a religious event that could be an alien invasion, or it could be end times, Revelation, Schofield Bible nonsense. So think of it like focus group.
So if you've been around, you might have heard of that theory, blue beam, right? The holograms, okay, using satellites, project whatever, make it look real to people. And yeah, that was one of the alleged ways they were going to use it, make it look like Jesus, you know, white Jesus coming back down to earth, to get, you know, people riled up, you know, Tupac, who knows? So yeah, that rumor and, you know, theory about Project Bluebeam. Now they can project holograms. Okay, they can do a lot of things. All these satellites. What do you think? All these satellites. It ain't for. Well, they got Elon Musk talking about Starlink. Yeah, we want to help everybody get internet. Yeah, but there's other shit they're doing with these satellites, right? And so, We covered a story some years back. China actually created an artificial moon using a satellite and reflecting light. They did. This is the story, and it's the weirdest story. It was, man, that's years ago when we were doing our show on Facebook Live. But China actually, they post, I don't know, it's one of them, New York Post, whatever. We got the article, and what it said was China created an artificial moon that was bright enough to light, light up the city at night. And this is the weird part about the story. They said they did it. Okay, they put this artificial moon satellite in orbit over China so it could light up the city at night so that they could save money on electricity, so that they wouldn't have to use all the lights to light up shit. And I kid you not, man. If I, that just popped in my head. If I had that article, I would pull it up, because that's the weird shit these people put out here. Okay, that's just an example, but that is 100% that was reported some years back, and I only say that to say this: they obviously are doing things with these satellites other than internet. Surveillance, sure. Obviously, weaponry of some type. Even though there's not supposed to be any weapons in space. But now that they launched the Space Force a few years back, now they're openly, now they ain't got no problem telling us they got shit up there that'll zap your ass. Okay, you can look all that up. If you want some good information on the Space Force and what they're doing, follow their X account, follow their Twitter account. I think it's American Space Force. We'll be taking a look at. They just putting all that shit out there now. They call it war fighting, space war fighting. Like, they're like, yeah, we out here and we tearing shit up. Yeah, we got all kinds of shit on space now. The Space Force Twitter account, I got to find it. I'm following them. I was following them for a while because it's very interesting, the shit they post. Again, if you want to know anything about what these people are doing, just find them on Twitter or X, and they're telling you what they're doing. They're not hiding anything. Yeah, Space Force. We got to look at some of their tweets on the next episode here. Very interesting what they're doing, what they're telling us they're doing.
Groups. If they really go for this, which, I mean, what a pathetic display that'll be. They are desperate, because to come out with where people, you could show someone a video of you hanging out with an alien, they're going to go, that's fake at this point. No one trusts these people anymore. I don't even tell people not to trust them. As soon as you see all the production value behind I think this may happen pretty soon. In fact, that is so phony the way that's shot. Maybe it's some weird thing where they watch it enough.
But Kurt, he's telling us.
So that's what I was saying. Like, some people are real hard on Corbell, as far as thinking like he's a total shill, like he knows he's lying about shit. He's, disinformation guy. I don't think so. I disagree. I really think, again, he's a guy like any of us, in the space that are, trying to find out what we can about the subject, try and make sense of it. He's a guy that, I don't know how, like I said, some years, but he did. So I get why people think he's a plant, okay, a so-called plant, because he kind of just came out of nowhere. All right, nobody ever heard of him in the UFO space, and there are names, okay, in the investigative space out here that, if you're rocking with us, you are familiar with, Richard Dolan, what's his name? Jim Mars, man, he passed away a few years ago. Billy Carson, another guy, been out here doing all kinds of work and research and sharing it with the public. So there are names that have been around, okay, in the space. And Corbell was not one of those names. He just kind of popped up a few years ago. relatively, And he kind of, again, because it's not that he just popped up, but he popped up and then he had access to what seemed to be high-level contacts in the military, in the Pentagon. Like I said, they tapped him on the shoulder to release, I'm pretty sure it was the Tic Tac video. I think Corbell released that, and the Pentagon said, yes, it's real, right? From what I remember. That's how that all – so that's why some people give Corbell the side eye. This came out of nowhere. I tend to give him a little more credit. And again, in the course of that, he linked up with George Knapp, okay, one of those guys that you have heard of. He's been investigating UFOs since, the mid-'80s or whatever. He's the one, in case people don't know, or if you might not know, broke the Bob Lazar Area 51 story. Okay, George Knapp, Las Vegas. Okay, that's all George Knapp. George Knapp responsible for all that. The modern era, right? Government secrecy, Area 51, all that shit. Bob Lazar, yeah, that was George Knapp, right? So Corbell pops up out of nowhere, seemingly, with this, credible information. And yeah, some people think he's a plant. I don't think so. I think he's a guy that, I think his intentions are, he's wants to, just trying to get to understand as best as he can, right? And like I said, this is it's pretty wild out here in the UFO space, if you've been learning about this subject for any length of time, it's pretty interesting stuff that goes on.
It's about a thing they're actually doing right now. They're actually this right here.
Yeah, people before him said it. It's almost like Jake Tapper saying Biden might have been a little slow.
So he's not saying that there's a UFO coming. He's saying they're going to tell you this lie that a UFO is coming.
A lot of people said that way before him while he was in the aw shucks mode. But he could be sincere.
True.
I'm just saying, oh, I heard Ukraine's not winning too. Like, whoa, whoopity-doo. All the time you spent on your fancy studio, you could have told me that shit just in a tweet or something. The production value takes away from the credibility to me.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Rejuvenate coffee.
I understand totally what he's saying. Again, I'm the same way with some of this stuff. If it's too dramatic, and yeah, that doesn't help. That really doesn't, at this point for me, yeah. It's like, yeah, the dramatic music, and it's like, gee whiz. But yeah, like I said, we ain't writing Corbell off as a 100% plant yet, I haven't seen anything that would point me towards that, that conclusion on him. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the chat.